welcome back to Wireman's Whimsy. Warning right out of the gate, this video is going to be just a little bit longer because I'm going to be working through how to do this fun fold. We're making this gift enclosure with a little tag that you can write your message on the back, and you can slip a gift card in. Now it's open at the side. You can use a paper clip or some kind of decorative piece, or it is big enough that you could just put a little tiny bit of adhesive along the edge and then just stick that down. But let's get started on the base on the fold itself. What we've got is a 5.5 by 8.5. It's a half cut sheet, and we are going to just move these things out of the way just for now. We're going to score this at 4 1/4, the same way if we were making a card. So what we've got now is a standard card base. We're also going to score it down the long middle at 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, like this. Okay, so we've basically got a scored cross in here. The next thing we need to do is we need to create our diagonal edges. So we're going to be creating these two edges here. And what we need to do is we're going to go from the middle of the score line. I'll just put the score line right where that dark line is there. And we're going to, it's 2 3/4 this way. So we're going to come down 2 3/4 along the edge. Just make a little mark. And we're going to do that line, make a line so we've got a cutting line, but I'm going to make sure it's just a little towards the point so that when I actually cut, I don't have that pencil line. So the next piece I need to do is the corner cut down here, and it is at 2 1/4. So I'm just gonna line that up at the bottom at 2 1/4, make my pencil mark, okay? And then again, we're coming in 2 1/4, so our diagonal is going to be the same as it was at the top. And then I'm going to just draw my line, again, just a little inside so that when I cut, I know I need to be cutting on this side of the line. So that's got me my two diagonals. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut. So I'm just going to line this up, and remember I said I need to be just on this side of the line. So I'm going to have my line kind of on the outer edge of the trough where the blade goes through. So there we've got one cut. Spin this around. Again, I need to be just inside that line. So I'm going to make sure the line's on the outside of the trough there. And I'm going to cut. So now you can use these as templates for your next card if you want, or you can just throw them away. So what I've got now is my card base cut to my template. But the template also says we're scored here and cut here, and I scored all the way down. Scored all the way down, so I had a cut line. I now need to cut this piece. So I'm going to put it back in. Got my score line lined up in my trough, and there's little grooves on each side of the edge of the cutting blade, and I'm going to use those to line up with the 4 1/4 score line, and I'm going to come down like that. So now I've got my base, and it tells me that the first fold is up like this. So I'm going to fold up. I'm going to use my bone folder, okay, and the second fold is over in half. So I'm going to fold this over in half like this, and then I'm going to use my bone folder. And the third fold is up underneath. So this one, you just need to line it up a bit. It gets a bit bulky at the bottom, so you're just going to line it up and make sure that you're not overlapping anything. There we go. And then just use your bone folder to really squash that line down. So now we have our card holder with the message holder. So I'm just going to smooth out those rough edges from the blade, and I'm just going to put this off to the side right now, because what we need to do now is we need to decorate it. To do the decoration, on the front, the designer series paper, we're going to cut our piece of designer series paper to 2.5 by 3 7/8, which I've done. And then we need to angle cut it so that we've got 1 1/4 inches at the bottom here. And this is kind of just a little bit of magic going on here, because it's going to give us the piece for the top as well, for the inside. So I'm going to come down to 1 1/4. I'm just going to make a pencil mark. So what I need to do now is I need to take my cutter and I need to put my paper in. I'm cutting from this edge, this corner here, down to my line. So I'm going to put my corner of the paper is in the trough, my line is in the trough. Now sometimes the blade will bind on the edge of the paper like this. So I'm just going to start a little bit in the middle and then come through. Okay, so what I've got now is my card front here can get attached. So I'm just going to add adhesive, okay, and just place this, and there we go, like that. Now we have this other piece here. What we're going to do is we're just going to unfold this so that we can place this piece in the top corner. What I do need to do is tell you that I got this idea from Instagram from a person by the name of Katharina Tarta Crafts. So I really appreciate the video that she put on Instagram showing us how to do this. So thank you so much, Katharina, for showing this to us. And what we've got now is we've got a piece of DSP that basically matches the base. If we were to put the two pieces together, it would match, but we've just got this piece in the middle. So I have already cut out the pieces that I need for the middle. What I've got is I used Old Olive and stamped it with the Mossy Meadow with the leaves from the Cottage Rose set. I'm using Cottage Rose stamps and Abigail Rose Designer Series paper. And to do the tag, I'm actually using the tag from the Something Fancy set. So I've cut out the leaves. I cut out the Happy Birthday from the Cottage Rose set with one of the stylish shape dies. And I've cut this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just use a finger dauber. It looked a little plain when I put it against the background. So I'm in my petal pink here. I'm sure it's petal pink. It is indeed petal pink. And I'm just finger daubering some color on. It doesn't need to be a consistent color. Flowers generally have tones to them. So you can make this as dark or as light as you want. So we've done that. And I put the Happy Birthday on. I flat mounted the Happy Birthday. So the Happy Birthday goes on the bottom of the card, a little bit of the Designer Series paper showing, just like that. Then I put the leaves on, again, just flat mounted. And kind of like this. And then I took the flower and I put adhesive on the one side, and then I put a dimensional on the other side. I just wanted it to have a little bit of lift, but not totally dimensionalized off the page. So we're just going to put this down here now, like it's coming off the branch there. So what we've got is it's flat here, but lifted here. So it's just got that little bit of movement to it. Now we need to make the tag that goes inside. So for the tag, I've got two pieces of paper, 1 7/8 by 4. So it's 1 7/8 by 4, and I've got it in my basic white, and I need to make sure I glue to this side. You can tell I had to do the demo a couple of times. And I've got my Designer Series paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere my Designer Series paper to my basic white base. and they're the same size, so it should just fit right on like that. So there we go. So I've got my side I can write on here, and I've got my good side here. So this die will cut it to here, but I want the tag to be longer. So I'll show you how you do that. I'm going to take my base plate, my shim plate, my cutting plate. What I do is I put this through. This is why it has to be 1 7/8, so that it fits through. So what I'm doing is I'm going to line this up, make sure that I'm straight and that I've got the paper just at the top of the circle or the rounded bit there. I'm going to make sure that I'm even so that my shoulders of my gift card are even. And I've got the tail out of the back so that it doesn't cut. I'm just going to get some sticky notes so that I can tag this down so it doesn't move. So I've got one like that, and I've got 2 there, so I'm going to try and peel the other one off. So there we go. So then I'm going to run it through my cut and emboss machine. Put that back up so you can see it. Whee! Okay. Okay. So what we have now is the tag, the top cut off to make the tag shape. And a tag that's as long as we need it. So that's, you can do that with any type, any shape you want, as long as the paper will come out the other side. So we've got our tag. I'm going to use, this is a retired punch, but it's a really good one for doing this. And I'm just going to punch a spot for the ribbon to go through. And I just grabbed some Petal Pink and some Mossy Meadow ribbon from my stash. And I apologize, I don't know if they're in the current catalog or if they've retired. Like I say, they're just in my stash. So I'm going to push this through like this, open up the gap, tuck my ends through, all my ends. Come on, sunshine, you can get there. So we're going to put all our ends through. Just give it a little bit of a tug. Don't tug too tight because you don't want to tear your paper, but just give your ends a bit of a tug. Just make sure everything's snug. And then we can actually just tag that in there. If you like, what I did with the demo one that I made is I just took my finger dauber and just added on some color just to make it a little bit more kind of that romantic worn look. The other thing that I did, and I shouldn't have put my stamps away, is I took my smoky slate and I just added a couple of flowers to this, just like that, just to add a little bit of interest. And again, you've got the back to write on, and then you can just tuck that in like that, and you've got your gift enclosure. You can bling it up, you can do what you like with it, but that's the basics of it. So we've got all of our sizes that have been out through the video. So thank you so much for watching and staying with me to the end, and let's create together again soon.